What's up, guys? Welcome to my channel. My name's McNally. So for this week's video, I didn't really have any ideas. I, have been kind of just racking my brain for something. I thought, why not cover another, animated stories? Because those are always good. They're always pumping out those things. Crazier and crazier, they keep coming down the pike. But I was like, nah, I've covered them. I've covered My Story Animated, covered Actually Happened, covered the other one that has like the 5-minute stories. And so I was going through the comments of some of these videos that I was watching, and I stumbled upon someone who in on a little information, not me specifically, obviously, they just put it out there on the thing, but anyway, it's Instagram that's out there, Write Comics. Now, obviously, I was very intrigued by this, and they went on to explain that Write Comics was kind of the Instagram version / still comics, aka not a video, of My Story Animated, those online YouTube animated stories. So I was like, I'll go check. And am I so happy that I did, because what I stumbled upon was truly like if you took all those animated channels on YouTube and just put them into little comics and threw them up on Instagram. So I guess really no place is safe. It would be interesting though to find out Instagram channel is owned by the same corporations that own all those, My Story Animated and the DIY stuff. I'm just imagining like there's an underground power struggle of, these big corporations that are just kind of fighting one another, trying to like win over, more subscribers or whatever. And we as viewers are not like aware of what's going on, which would be really interesting. And also I think is from a movie that I've seen somewhere, but I can't remember where. Anyway, I went through and I picked some of these, and they are said to be, they're kind of set up the same way. Their situations, they claim, come from actual people, and they very well may. I know that going through these, they're a lot less out there than My Story Animated Actually Happened, but they're still kind of like not believable that these can actually happen in real life. I'll give you a few examples, but before we begin, if you guys enjoyed my videos, I do stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday on Twitch at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you like the videos and you want to come hang out with me live, and if you want to hang out and talk to me and chat with me more personally, I'm also on Twitter and Instagram and Discord. I hang out a lot in Discord, so come hang out with me there. Let's get into our first one. Now, this first one has to be one of my favorite ones. I'm sharing this one early because it's just too good. So we open up on a front desk of a vet's office, and this woman is calling basically to make an appointment for what she thinks is her cat having a scent gland problem, and it's apparently like peeing all over the house. But then this happens. "I'm sorry, ma'am, we can't descent a cat. He may be spraying to mark his territory, and if he is, we can neuter him," which is a totally normal thing for cats to do, and totally normal thing cat owners do. You don't want your cat spraying all over the house, you neuter your cat. "He backs up to furniture, marks them, and if you can't startle him, he will turn around and try to mark you, and he's mean." I always find it kind of weird when people address their animals as like having a relationship that you would with a human. Like, I get an animal becomes part of your family. I love my dog, but I would never be like, my dog is so mean to me, he bullies me every other day. "Ma'am, cats don't spray when startled usually. Are you sure it's a cat?" "Well, yes." Now here I think is where it starts to get a little weird. They claim, like many of the other ones on YouTube, that these stories are completely 100% true and that they are from actual people. The only problem is they're just too out there, or the people in them are just too gullible or oblivious to basically the whole entire world. "Do his markings look like?" "All black with 2 white stripes down his back." "Ma'am, that's not a cat, that's a skunk." So you're telling me that a woman has confused a skunk for a cat and just let it into her house, opened her door, what she thought was a cat was really a skunk, walks through into her house, and she's been taking care of it for, I guess, a while, and has believed this entire time that this skunk, which is now spraying her entire house, her house must smell so bad the neighbors could smell it like 5 doors down. Now, if you've ever worked in retail or in service of any kind, you realize that you have to have a certain type of skill when it comes to people. In college, I worked at a clothing store. You definitely get more appreciation for what the people who work in retail or in waiters or any type of service really have to deal with when it comes to the general public. For example, this one. "Hello, how can I help you?" Perfectly normal. "Habla español?" Guy responds with no. Okay. "Why not? Why didn't your parents teach you?" "Because we're Hawaiian?" "Well, that's not an excuse." First off, a little preachy. If I'm going to go on Instagram, I'm going there, to look for, just BS posts. I'm not going there to be told how to do things and taught. But are you seriously telling me there are people who just walk into places and they're like, oh yes, parlez-vous français? And they expect people just go, oh oui, oui, je parle français très bien. I will say this has happened to me once when I was working in a store. A guy walked in, but he didn't like get mad at me for not being able to speak Spanish. Now again, you tend to think, okay, certainly people aren't really like this in real life. People can't be that dumb or that just oblivious to other people. But then you see a comic strip like this. So it's this girl, she's clearly a waiter at a 50s style diner in the mall. Apparently a customer asks her simply, can you turn the heat up? I would love to, but the restaurant is open to the mall and we have no control over the mall temperature. Could you please just try? Okay, so this I can also kind of sympathize with. Sometimes, you know, when you're working for minimum wage at a store or at a restaurant, you don't have the power to do everything. I then proceed to walk into the back house and munch on some onion rings, play a game, another few things. After a few minutes passed, I walked out. How's that? Much better. Okay, little bit of a confession here. Sometimes, and this wasn't only just me, but sometimes you would have someone who came in that would ask for something that we didn't have, and you would go and you'd say, I'm sorry, we're out of that. But sometimes it just went, well, can you just go check again? Now, depending on what type of person you are, you could either go check it again, or you already know what the answer is, we don't have it, but then they want to like kind of get into a fight with you about it, and so you just kind of go back there. You know, in my case, we didn't have food there, but kind of stand back there, talk to people, then you go out and they're like, oh, it's not worth waiting for, we're just gonna go order it offline. That's exactly what I told you to do. We could have had all this done in 3-4 minute conversation. But then again, do you really want to be lectured to by an Instagram account? I feel like this Instagram account's whole mission is just to kind of paint like a broad brush. Even though if you've worked in retail or you've worked in the service industry, not everyone is bad. And I can say that some of these situations never happened to me. Like for instance, this one is just a little bit too out there. One summer, I worked at a resort as a concierge. So apparently this guy, he comes in with his 2 kids and they're really looking to see a lot of wildlife. Totally normal. Nothing wrong there. And proceeds to ask the concierge, hey, what kind of stuff do you see, and can you see it from your car while you're driving? Of course, you can see deer, bears, all that. Bears are an important part of this story. He then asked, can we feed the bears? And she responds, no sir, the bears are wild bears. They are extremely dangerous and you should never approach any wild animals. Just stay in your car with the windows up and you'll be fine. Good advice. You shouldn't be feeding wild animals. They could kill you. Oh, can we send our kids to play with the bears? To which she replies, that would be feeding the bears, sir. Now, you can't tell me that there is an actual human being who has 2 kids who wants to go see some animals that's like, I can't play with the bear, but my kids can go play with the bear, right? That's totally acceptable. You can't let your children go play with a wild bear because the bear will eat them. Like, there's no way this is an actual story of something that happened. People don't actually are like, sure, I can't play with the bear, but my kids can certainly go play with the bear, right? Now, there are a couple more on here, but I found something interesting. These are all connected to apparently an entertainment website called Not Always Right, and they do have an Instagram too. And they're essentially these same situations, just not with the pictures. So, for example, why do you have it so bloody cold in that room? It should be warmer for the customers. The fridge room? Yes, I don't want to freeze to death whilst getting a cold slab of beer. What? So apparently someone has had the experience where a person working with them has asked that you turn off the fridge because apparently people are sitting in the fridge. It's these kinds of websites, I guess, where people can just go and put up random stuff that has happened to them in their day. Or like this one. My roommate and I are shopping in a large store. She goes to find a CD while I peruse produce, and I follow her after a minute. I enter the electronics section. Are you looking for anything particular tonight? Yeah, my roommate. Without missing a beat, second to last aisle. So I'm confused. Was that supposed to be like funny, witty? If it's funny, it's kind of a poor joke. I guess people have a lot to do during quarantine. Either a lot of people are really bored and have nothing better to do but post that kind of stuff, or these are all fake and people are writing them. I still don't get what the point of it is though. Is it to just like teach people to be nicer? Here's one that's more relevant to me this past weekend. So I've been having some computer issues and I've had to call, technical support because, they don't make these things where it's easy to like get to on your own. You need to have someone do it for you. Hi, I'm trying to connect my iPod to my stereo. Okay, do you have a receiver, a small shelf system, or a boombox? It's the small stereo. She proceeds to tell him, how to do it. And so he translates that as male to male, as in boy to boy. Yes, it's just a referencing to whether it is a plug or a receptor of a plug. Well, you are just disgusting. So you're telling me there's a person out there that hears male to female or male to male, female to female plug and thinks they're talking about a real, but you're not, wait a second, no. There's no way you can equate that to like a real person because you're calling about an iPod and a stereo system. You're not talking about real people. Why would she just put that in the conversation randomly? Sorry, that is just an industry term. That is just one of the most disgusting things I've ever heard. Sounds good, click. Okay, first off, I know for a fact this is fake because a technical support would never just hang up on you. If there's one thing, they may not be very nice and they may not be very helpful at times, but they will never hang up on you, and if you ever get disconnected, they call you. And I've known because I've gotten disconnected and they call me and I'm like, you know what, I've already figured out the problem, and don't pick up the phone and they keep calling you. So I know for a fact that's not real. But to think that there would actually be someone out there that would get this all confused. So that's Right Comics. If you're as confused as I am, I'm right there with you because confusion doesn't even begin to explain what I haven't experienced of this. Is it the same as, My Story Animated, those kinds of channels? I don't think so. I mean, they're kind of crazy situations, but they're not the outlandish things that My Story Animated and all those other channels kind of put out, because those things put out some strange stories. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. If you want to catch more, hit that subscribe button and hit that little bell notification. And in the comments, tell me what you thought. Did you think these were real, or do you think they're fake? Where do you stand on them? And I will see you guys next week with a brand new video.